Hi everyone, I am Bhumika and today we have with us Tuheena Raj. I'm going to tell you a very creepy story today. I was in a manual brewing class with Brew Tokai and the barista who was teaching there mentioned the name Tuheena a couple of times, and it is kind of a name that sticks to your mind. So after a couple of days, I was scrolling Instagram and I saw one of the posts by Brew Tokai where they post a book recommendation from their employees, and I went to the description and Tuheena's name was mentioned there. So then I went to her Instagram page, which is Words of Worth, and it is super aesthetic. I really, really like the page. And then I went to her LinkedIn profile, and then I found out that it is not just the page that she's been handling. She has worked with some of the big corporate giants, KPMG, Google, 2 years at Citi, Tata Trust, and then currently she's working as the city brand manager at Blue Tokai. Also, then I find out that Tuheena is also a TEDx speaker, and then my 3 a.m. talk that day was Tuheena's TED talk, and it is super inspiring. So, an absolute fangirl moment for me right now, and we are very excited to have you here with us, Tuheena. Welcome to our channel.
That was quite an introduction, very flattering one. So thank you so much, Bhumika. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, let's start with the genesis of Words of Worth. So, how did you conceptualize the idea? When did you start it, and how did it all come about?
So I think, in college, everybody has these pockets of doubts and are, unsure of what they want to do going forward. And I think as a young 20, 21-year old, I also had those moments and pockets of doubts. And it actually is a story that a lot of people would resonate with, which is that during the season of placements in college, I was experiencing this existential crisis, and I just thought, you know what, every time that I'm applying to a company, every time that I'm creating my resume or sending out my CV, I am completely dependent on the call or understanding of another person of my skills and abilities.
Yeah.
For once, I just want to do something where I take the creative call, or I take the creative control, or I have some way to dictate how things flow. And one frustrated afternoon, Words of Worth was born. It was just something I started. I never revealed who I was for, I think, a good 3 to 4 years, 3 years actually. And it was something I had started with no real idea or direction. I just knew that I wanted to write and I wanted to put forth my thoughts. I was reading a lot of Instagram writers and I thought, you know what, I could actually contribute to this space. I did not really know what this was going to become, if it was going to be a passion project that I'd follow through or not. But I just felt at that very moment that this was something that would give me happiness. And in that spur of the moment, I created Words of Worth. And I could have thought through the name better. I could have given it a better name, a better identity. But I think I just wanted it to have a good ring to it. I just wanted it to sound um, good and maybe just be something people could recall. And
Mm.
also give away the idea that this is going to be something about poetry, writing, words, literature. So, yeah, I took a cue from Wordsworth and created Words of Worth.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was how it began. There was no real plan, so to say.
But it has been doing amazing, and I really, really like the page. And
Thank you.
all of you who haven't been through her page, just go to Instagram and go to Words of Worth, and you will find some amazing poetry and quotes there. So I think I would love for you to describe more on the TEDx topic that you spoke on the TED platform. So the topic was, I think you should only say it. So yeah.
No, so I think my TEDx talk was one of like my dreams come true. I've watched TEDx talks. I've been a part of TEDx events since my college days, and I really thought that it's such a powerful platform to share your ideas and thoughts. And when I got an invite, I was ecstatic because I am just bubbling with things to say. So just to get that invite was absolutely wonderful. I think why I chose to spoke on what I chose to spoke on, which is to say a master of none will eventually become the master of some.
Yeah.
is just to let people know that, I mean, my journey, however small or uninspiring that it might have been, or it might also have been inspiring for some people. I just wanted to probably from that story tell people that, you know what, if there is no real solution in sight, doesn't really mean that it'll never occur to you, or or that it'll never come in front of you. So basically, I just spoke about my growing up years and my issues with not being able to figure out what I'm best at. So I used to try a lot of things. I would literally be this person who just wanted to, in the afternoon, take a dance class and then go and run for her basketball class and come back to her tuition, and just had so much going on when I was growing up. Everybody questioned me about what it is that really fulfills me or makes me happy, and I never had an answer. I just felt good being busy. I just wanted to do so many things that I had a packed day, that I had something or the other to look forward to every time.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, a lot of people really have this idea. There's a book by David Epstein called Range, and
Mm-hmm.
he has mentioned this in his book as well, that a lot of people have the understanding of genius or prodigy in a way that a person is brilliant at a particular thing, that they're a specialist at that particular thing. But I necessarily never adhered to that kind of idea, and I kept questioning what is it that I'm the best at. So basically, there is no issues with not being the best at a particular thing, as long as you have a range, as
Mm-hmm.
long as you can do a spectrum of things. Like, you don't have to sort of particularly be a champion at one. So that's basically what I wanted to say and tell people, that you can follow as many passion projects as you can do as many, sort of grapple with as many issues and challenges. Everything is some way or the other going to lead you to finding what is it that you're actually good at, and I think it's a really, really fun process. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically what my TEDx talk was.
That was amazing, super inspiring. And since you have mentioned range, I think I saw it today only. Bill Gates also recommended this book, right? So and
Oh.
in yeah, he did. And in his so he has recently released a podcast also, and in his podcast also he was saying the same thing, that at Microsoft they hire people who are kind of generalists. So there's
Hmm.
a spectrum of things that they can try. So yeah, I could totally relate to what you were saying. And because because we are talking about books, so the last book that I read was called The Art of Memoir by Mary Karr, and it
Hmm.
was about how to write a memoir. But then there were a couple of things also in that book. So there was this quote that really stuck to my heart, and it goes like, art should disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. And I could totally relate it to the kind of the kind of post that you have been doing on Instagram. So what are your views on the same?
How sweet of you to say that that quote applies to me. But hey, thank you. I really think that's wonderful, because the purpose of art is not just entertainment. It serves different kinds of purposes. So when people only view things that people are creating on Instagram with a look of superficiality, because people think now every other person is a blogger, every other person has something or the other to say, and it's such a crowded space. And I hear this from people over and over, that, I mean, what are these people actually doing? They're just influencing, they're just saying whatever that comes to their mind. But I feel, while there is some sort of truth to what these people are saying as well, which is to say, not everybody is actually thought through what they're trying to say. I do feel that art, however small or big, has always had a purpose. So I feel whenever you're creating something, especially if you're writing, I think it has to be, or it should be, something which is going to be relatable, which can touch people, which can make them feel a certain way. And I think, I mean, how I write or how I find a piece of writing alluring is when a writer, without knowing where I come from, can touch me in ways or move me in what they're saying. So I think that in itself is so beautiful. The power of emotions is so universal.
Yeah.
And when a writer or a artist can bring that out and touch a chord in you, I think that is an achievement in itself. So for I find so much fulfillment in the fact that somebody who's probably sitting in the US or the UK or South Africa. I have followers from these places, and that's the beauty of the internet. Have written to me and told me that, you know what, we find resonance in what you write, or we find happiness, or we can relate or see ourselves in what or how you picture your thoughts, emotions, and process them. So I find that absolutely beautiful. And I always feel that art is not just a medium of entertainment, as I've already said it thrice.
Yes.
I do think it should always be tied to a higher purpose. So
Mm.
if you are talking about mental health, or if you're talking about a protest that you believe in, if you have a voice, and if you want to tie your art to a higher purpose, please feel free to do that, because I think art has a wonderful reach, and it
Yeah.
also reaches to people in the most beautiful and nuanced manner.
Mm.
Yeah.
True, true, true. That's really amazing. So my next question to you is, so most of us who are into reading and stuff, we have these wisdom bombs in some or the other way in each book. So there
Hmm.
is this line that hits you really hard. So one of those wisdom bombs for me this year was this podcast from Joe Rogan with Naval Ravikant, who is an entrepreneur and an angel investor. So he mentioned a quote by Confucius, who is a philosopher, and he says, each one of us has two lives, and the second one starts when we know that we have only one. So since you since you moved from a role in corporate treasury in Citibank, and you were there for 2 years, and you moved from Citi to a role in marketing at Tata Trust, what was that aha moment for you where you realized that, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to lead my life from now
Wow.
on?
I think there was no real aha moment. I think I was always somebody who was more who loved words more than numbers. So I think even at the bank, I never really got the sort of fulfillment or the kick that other people around me were getting working with numbers, or say looking at the Sensex move up and down and look at I I mean, even before that, I knew that I was probably happier around words than around numbers. So I think just by looking at my peers and looking at my colleagues, I had this idea that, you know what, um, I mean, I'm not getting as much of a kick looking at, say, the Sensex go up or down. And I knew from that point that, I mean, you probably are able to do something, but you're not the happiest doing it. So I
Yeah.
think I had that moment, and I realized that, even when I'm on my work desk, I'm creating like these little poems at the back of my notebooks. I'm writing, like, these sort of little things, making prompts at the end of my Excel sheets and things like that. So I just kind of knew that, what, I think a role which is more communicative, that is going to be more people focused and something to do with marketing would be a better fit for me. And I
Mhm.
think after that I made this switch, because I thought, there is no point of being in a role which might not be full that might not be probably cashing in on all of your strengths.
Mhm.
So that's primarily when I knew that I had to make this switch. Yeah, I think I nothing too complicated there. I just knew from looking at the people around me that, what, I could be a better fit, or I could be a fish in another pond where the waters are more better suited for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, how did you manage running Words of Worth with being at City? How did that turn out? How was your work schedule then?
It was so Citibank, I would have to say this on record, is one of the most beautiful, I mean, well balanced organizations that I've been a part of. They are
Mm.
very considerate towards their employees, and I had a good, like, I had really nice holidays and everything. And I mean, they were very careful of the fact that their employees were very well treated and very well compensated as well. So I think that way, City was a wonderful organization. I did not have a very crazy sort of a work life balance. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, sorry, I didn't have very crazy work hours, so my work life balance was quite nice.
Okay.
And yeah, I think I was just starting out and I was absorbing. I had just gotten into city right after college, so for me it was more absorbing and learning things on my own than being um executing major sort of like, huge projects, because I always had help on those. I always
Yeah.
had, senior vice presidents and directors and teams. So
Mm.
no issues like that. They don't leave you, hang you out to dry. So that was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I think I have this feeling, and I say this to multiple people: if you really want to do something, you will squeeze out time and do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, however busy you are, you will always prioritize and figure out a way to do
Mm.
things if you're really interested in doing something. So yeah, no points for guessing that I was very interested in work, and I made time for it
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah. Excellent. So, tell us something more about how Words of Worth grew from a meager followership to 166K followers right now. How did the process unfold?
Um, I don't think I ever placed worth on followers so much, because I'll tell you
Mm.
a simple math. I'm not writing because I want to earn money, or I'm not writing because I want to be an influencer. I'm just writing because it makes me happy. So I think I had complete control over the content. I
Mm.
never was answerable to any brand. I wasn't really creating any sort of content for brands. So I had complete creative control. And I
Mm.
chose not to do that because I mean, I anyway have a full-time day job. So why do I want to kind of get another person's say on something that's absolutely my creative freedom? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a selfish reason. But more than that, I felt I think I started out on Instagram before it was really crowded. So I started around 2016. It took
Mm.
me like a lot of time to grow and to get past say 100K also. But I think I started out early. I started out for the right reasons, and I think I continue to write for things that make me feel happy. So I think that kind of resonates with people who read me or who know me or who have been on the platform for a while now. So
Yeah.
I think that's the primary reason. I don't, and I would say this again and again, that I'm not on the platform for getting brand deals or for influencing or for telling people how you should look or how you should behave. I just want to be there for a momentary respite when someone can scroll through my work and just say, wow, that's so accurate, or that's so resonate. I mean, I can so resonate with what she's written. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I think that's the idea. When that gets communicated, it touches people. So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that's really noble. So, I was watching another interview of yours where you explained a vowel format for all the young content creators out there, and how should they start if they are looking for starting a page like you did.
Yeah, I was just probably doing a vowel format where I was saying A is to analyze, look at what's happening and all of that. But I'll give you a breakup, not like in the vowel maybe, because I've
Okay.
already done that.
Yeah.
Basically, I just feel people who want to be content creators, writers, or whatever they want to do, if you want to start something of your own, you
Mm.
have to know why you're doing it. Like, what is the reason? What is the gap you're filling in? Is there no creator in this space? Is there no organization working on it? What is the novel factor that you're getting in?
Yeah.
First, when you have that figured out, have your reasons correct. If you want to earn through Instagram, your approach will be completely different. If you want
Mm.
to be more recognized and you just want to be a subject matter expert on something, you'll have to create content which is not very topical. It'll have to be, I mean, which is not like, universal. It'll have to be very topical and niche. So I think
Mm.
approach is completely determined on how you want to take this forward. So I think a lot of people on the content creation side right now are jumping onto the bandwagon because they see a friend is doing so well or they're earning. But I don't think, I mean, as soon as the space starts getting saturated, it's the differentiation that really starts to count.
Yeah.
So I just want people to be mindful, any new creator to be mindful of their reasons, their whys. their hows. And once you have that, I think it's easier to structure and create content or to figure out your next steps.
Yeah.
So get into it for the right reasons. Also, a lot of people have this misconception that social media fame is instant, that it happens overnight, and it probably takes a few good write-ups or a few good poems or a few good videos or reels or whatever that is. While that is largely true, that I mean, a video or a piece of content could really change how you're perceived on the internet if it does
Mm.
really well, it's also a lot of hard work. It's asking yourself every single day if you really want to be creative, because creativity is not a juice on command. Like, you really have to work on it. Like, your
Yeah.
input also has to be strong. So for example, for me to be able to write, I have to read, I have
Yeah.
to listen to other content creators, I have to figure out what's happening in the poetry space. So I'm not writing in a silo. You're not just waking up every day, sitting in front of a piece of paper and writing. There is so much
Mm.
more that you have to do as a back work, which
Mm.
people don't really see or understand.
Yeah.
So I think the backstory of this is the less glamorous bit, which is to kind of be hogging on your preparation material or your write ups or reading poetry or whatever that might be, listening to audiobooks, whatever that is
Yeah.
that works for you. But yeah, the less glamorous bits is that you have to consistently work hard so that there is no fatigue for the people who are
Mm.
reading you.
Mm. So consistency is one thing that really helped you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you are not one of those people who say that, artists are really moody and I will work on my art only when I feel like it. So that's not the
No.
case, right?
I
Yeah.
think if you're working every day, in a few days, you'll get something which you feel is worthy enough to be put forth.
Mm.
I feel it
Totally.
in that sense, yeah.
Yeah. Since we are talking about your reading, what are some of the book recommendations that you would want to give out to all the students out there?
Fun, because I have my books right here.
Yeah.
uh, I think this is called Videocracy by
Okay.
Kevin Aloka. So he is the YouTube's head of culture and trends. And
Okay.
he had written this book to talk about the internet space and how YouTube has changed the game. So I think if you're a
Mm.
content creator or anybody who's on the internet to share their piece of work, if you're blogging, I think it's a wonderful read to just analyze and understand how the internet space works. Because while there are so many things you can see and learn, there are some wonderful insights in this book that I thought were really, really useful. There's
Okay.
one more book I recommend. It's called Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. I
Okay.
recently got this book. I haven't even finished it,
Mm.
but I think it's wonderful. So it has about 10 or 12 essays, and it
Okay.
talks about self delusion. Okay, so the fact that I really like about this book is that it's talking about a perception that people have of themselves now that the internet is in the existence.
Yeah.
So for example, the moment anything good happens or there is some pretty thing that you see, your natural instinct is to take out your phone and click a photograph and share this
Mm.
as a story.
Mm.
Because because I think, I mean, I'm not going to diss the space where I create, but I do feel that your internet consumption and your um just your, like, I mean, the way you're consuming your internet and the way you're behaving on the internet has to be very mindfully done, because
Yeah.
it can also lead to, I mean, severe mental illnesses going forward. So I think
Mm.
just this sinking feeling, just, I mean, increased levels of depression that we see in people today. I mean,
Yeah.
it's also because of the internet and how it's structured or wired people now to understand and see their lives. So this
Mm.
book actually talks about how everybody is monetizing themselves. Everybody is trying to create pegs out of how their personality is and trying to make
Mm.
sure that some sort of audience is actually loving them for what they're doing.
Yeah.
you know it's a very insightful book. It's very, I mean, she has her take on different things. She has a take on marriage, she has a take on the internet, she has a take on, say, scams that have happened, on drugs and all of that. So I think it's a wonderful read. She is a wonderful writer. She's a writer for the New York Times also, so you can, for, I mean, I think you can, it's a good read basically.
Yeah.
She's a great, great, very wonderful, talented writer. What else would I recommend? um, yeah, I recommend Becoming by Michelle Obama for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And one thing I would like to tell you about is gratitude journaling. So this is not a book,
Mm.
basically, but
Mhm.
this is a gratitude journal. I bought mine recently. I
Okay.
had another copy. So basically, what it helps you do is you have like these sections where
Mhm.
every day you can note down what you're grateful for.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a stupid exercise to a lot of people, but I think it's really, really helped me. I've been doing it for the past 1 year. And just
Mhm.
to, sit down at the end of each day or, in the beginning of the day to just thank the universe for all the good things that have happened to you in the last day, just consciously kind of keeps you very
Strong.
upbeat and
Yeah.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
grateful and grounded. So I think if you can sort of pick this up as a habit, um,
Mm.
it's wonderful. And I mean, trust me, it felt really stupid to me when I started it out, but it's been, I mean, one of the best ways in which I've been able to cope up with this
Mm.
disastrous year.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound crazy to me because I have also been doing it, and it's
Oh,
super,
wow.
yeah, transformational. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
that's really cool, and I'm definitely gonna read The Trick Mirror, the book that you said. I'm definitely gonna read that.
Really.
So, coming to our next question, what is that one most important thing that you have learned all throughout this process, and what was your life like before learning it and after learning
Very intense question.
it?
uh, um, I just have felt this way after realizing that, I mean, now that I think I have a couple of readers and there are people who know about my work, I just feel a sense of responsibility, which is to say that, whatever you're putting out, whatever you're doing in terms of your professional life or your passion project or whatever you're saying, everything you say or do has a bearing, it has a consequence.
Yeah.
So just before you do something or say something or are about to do something, just take a moment to sanitize, basically just to see if it's, I mean, if it's probably in your professional circles, just see how or what impact this is going to have.
Yeah.
If you can just take a moment right before doing something and analyze if it's really worth it or not, how better you can do this, how better you can word this, how better you can say it, I think it just makes things a lot better for people around you. So I keep saying this, that art is never created in a silo. Art is created with people, by observing people, by being a part of society. So anything that you do, I mean, in my professional career or um, my writing project, I just have started understanding that, whatever I'm writing, somewhere somebody is going to read this and feel a certain way. So I have to be responsible in the sense that I fact check, that I make sure that what I'm saying is
Mm.
something I know about, that I'm reading about it, that I've done some sort of research before putting it out. Because I've had like this incident, Bhumika, where you wouldn't believe, this person had reached out to me right when he was having like these suicidal thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I mentioned about it in my TEDx talk also.
Yeah.
So, when I realized that my art is not just for me, it's not something that I'm doing to appease people, it has a bearing on other
Mm.
people's lives and how they feel about it. I just take a moment to make sure that whatever I'm putting out is responsible, and that I'm like, I mean, I've never really aspired to be an influencer, but if I can in some way be the reason for influencing somebody's thoughts, I want them to think the right thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very noble and very kind of you. And I'm sure a lot of people must have been resonating with all the content that you have been putting out. So, one last bit of advice for all the young content creators out there. What would be your advice?
I think please don't look at content creation or anything for that matter as a quick solution or a quick fix. There's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of soul searching, there's a lot of effort that goes into everything that's created. So please don't take it lightly, and please be in the thing for the right reasons. I've mentioned like 100 times right now in our conversations, because I really feel a lack of thought. I feel that people are saying things and thinking about it in the retrospect, which I don't think is right. I think you should figure out your, I mean, reasons and then talk about it. For example, I'll just give you an idea why I feel this is so important. So there was recently uh, an influencer, I would say a content creator, who's a fashion creator, who's a fashion blogger, and
Okay.
she had put out I mean, and like a video, an IGTV video, where she said that, you know what, I've always felt that I'm great with human beings, I'm great with people. So I feel like what I'll do is I'll charge you money, and I'm going to just listen to what you have to say. So if you have any mental health concerns, if you want to talk to me about anything, please feel free to. It's going to be a paid session. But here, I mean, there are so many things are wrong, but there were so many people who were very laudatory, who were very happy about this fashion blogger talking to her, you know, fans, or friends, and all of that. So I just feel that's so much that's wrong here, because she's not a person who's a medically certified person to be doing this. Depression, mental health problems are a proper, they require proper diagnosis. There is a proper, psychiatry is a proper medical field,
Yeah.
and people don't really pay attention to these things while they're making like these tall claims on social media handles. So I just want to kind of bring people back to the fact that, even if you're sharing a post, please fact check if it is from a credible news organization or not. Even if you're, you know propagating a certain stereotype, why are you, people are just sharing like these WhatsApp forwards without realizing what stereotypes they're propagating. I'm probably not like, I haven't structured my answer very well, but I hope my thoughts are getting conveyed. So I'm just trying to say that people need to take a step back and realize that, what, even when you're like, a young person who's just trying to figure their way around content creation, or trying to create a name for themselves, you have to be vigilant. The internet is free and very easily accessible, so please make use of it. And there is no issues with not knowing something. You can always learn and teach yourself things. So a lot of artists are self-taught, and let nothing be an inhibition for you to not begin something just because you probably have no prior experience in it, or you haven't studied it, so to say. So I think that is pretty much it.
That was a lot and a very good advice for all the young content creators out there. And I have to ask this last question. So, the existential crisis feeling that you had in the beginning when you started with Words of Worth, has it, subsidized by now, or do you still feel the same way? What is the scene right now?
No, I think I'm very, very comfortable right now with who I am. I'm very happy to have found the things that make me happy. I'm very happy to have figured out that I want to have this sort of dual life where I also have a corporate career, and I also have a passion project that I really, really love. So I think I've been able to find that balance. I think I want to, going forward, want to better myself with both the things that I'm doing. But yeah, that existential problem of not knowing who I am, that like just angst and all of that, has
Yeah.
subsided to a very large extent. So really thankful. I see that's the journey. So I think if you start somewhere, you figure it out eventually. So yeah, for sure. I think I was a master of none, but I'm probably becoming a master of some, hopefully someday. So yeah.
Brilliant, Tuheena. We had a really, really good conversation with you today, and very thankful for you for joining us. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.